Welcome back to the channel. Been a while since we did a video. We have the 4S behind us and we're gonna put on the IMS 3.3 gallon oversized tank. And I went with the clear. I know a lot of you folks are gonna be like, why did you not go black? Why didn't you get black? Well, the black is nice, but I'm just the type of guy that even though there is a fuel gauge, I still like to see my fuel level in a tank. So that's why I went with clear. So, of course, from IMS, you get the tank, some stickers, you get an O-ring, you got 2 bolts right here this size, 2 bolts this size, 2 nuts, some little grommets here with a collar on them, 4 of those. Of course, here's a bracket, and a washer, and of course you do get your, oh, there's another bolt, look. So that makes 3 of those. And then of course your fuel cap. The only thing is, they do not give you a overflow tube. So luckily I have some overflow tubes here that I can use. And of course you have your instructions here, and then they give you a little diagram to show you these couple things here on how to mount some of these brackets. Also on the back here, more pictures because you have to trim the little tabs on the shroud, and here are figures of the mounting brackets. So I'm gonna go ahead. I did get a good portion of fuel siphoned out of the tank, but there's definitely still some in it. So I'll have to dump that out when I get it off. But I'm not gonna bore you with like kind of the beginnings of this, because you gotta take the shrouds off. Of course, you got bolt down there, seat off. We'll get to that. I'll take one of the shrouds off here, and then we'll just kind of, I'll fight my way through stuff and kind of hopefully explain like what I had to do to get where I'm at. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab a ratchet here and get started. These are 8mm. Notice this is the top one, the very short one. This one is the longer one. So there you have a short one and then 2 other ones that look, well, they're not the same. The last one I took out has a collar on it, which is this one right here. See what we can do here. Okay, so it's into the black piece also here. Okay, so it's gonna end up being one whole situation. Seat bolt. So I told you wrong. The one with the collar right here, that goes in the lower one. I pointed up here. This also has a larger washer on it. Okay. You got 2 here. That's what they look like. Okay, I'm going to take this bolt out also. The side panel. Just kind of feeling this out as I go. Some of you guys probably have already had this stuff apart, and you kind of know what's going on. I'm just learning. Learning as I go. There's what that one looks like. It has a aluminum collar on it, separate. Okay, my key here. Okay, there you go. One big old piece. You can kind of see these tabs in here are the ones, these yellow ones that go through the black cover are the ones that we're going to have to remove later on. Okay. I apologize, my furnace is running. It's 30 degrees out here in Pennsylvania. I want to put my gas lid back on wherever I put it. Where did I put it? Oh geez, right there. God, getting old sucks. And I'm actually a year older today. I turned 54 today, so happy birthday to me. Okay, I'm gonna pull this bracket out of there. 2 rubbers there. Let's see what else we got here on this thing. I'm thinking it's just in a rubber up front. Maybe. Let's see. Does look like that, but we have a bolt there that we could take out, maybe. Yeah. Let's see. What was that? I hate when I pick a tool up then something else falls. Okay, that's turning, so we have a... Okay. Need a hex. Of course, I'll grab 2 and it will not be either one of them. Son of a... Hey! Okay, there's a nut. So there's a bolt. That was a 5mm hex. Okay. Now we can at least see underneath the tank, see what we got going on here. Okay. So we got our plug. That's pretty simple. Just got a little tab there you push, and I just heard this freaking piece right there fall out. I need a magnet. This freaking bushing must be aluminum. Look at that. That just came out of the sleeve on the tank, so keep that in mind. Now, I always gotta, these are always a bitch figuring out these little thingies. And you're always scared to death to break them. So let's see what I can do. Guys who are mechanics can pop this stuff right off and it doesn't bother them. Me, I'm always nervous, and I usually buy extra clips when I'm doing there. I just pushed them 2 years and it slid out, so I think that'll get me released and off. Okay, we're off. There we go, we have a free tank. I'm gonna get this tank outside. You can see there's the fuel pump there. I'm gonna get this tank outside, dump it out, and we'll go from there and start prepping the IMS tank. These are rubbers that come out of the rear mounting area. Okay, so I'll tune back in. I'm gonna get this dumped out and then we'll be back. Here, just give everybody a little look under your tank. Kind of a close-up. Kind of got your brake set up there. Wiring, of course, top of your head there. One spark plug. Got your throttle body. Probably should clean that down in there when you have that off, but I'm not worried about it. Okay, we have the tank off, upside down. I got basically 99% of the gas out. So one of the first things they tell you to do is remove this bracket and transfer it. Remember, this is the one that had that aluminum bushing in it that slid out. You don't want that to... I almost lost it down in behind the radiator. If I wouldn't have been paying attention and heard that little clang, I would have had no idea what was going on. Now, don't want to cross thread these, but the thing is with these, they're in that rubber and you can't like get an easy spin and like a bite. Like you can't finger start them. That's the trouble here. So this could be tough. The problem is this rubber is, see how this is here? If you can see that, this is up on a pedestal, these two bolts. So do they have any picture of that? They do. Okay, remove this. They're showing you remove this rubber stopper right there. You can see it's right in your diagram there. So that will make things easier. But still, start them very, very gently. I probably should have even put some grease on the threads. Take them both in a little bit at a time, because you do not want to cross thread anything that is going into this tank. you will be screwed. And I am not, these are rubber based, so I mean, I'm not, that's about as tight as I'm going right there. Okay. Install the new DR-Z4s seat hook provided by IMS onto the IMS tank using two 6x12 flange bolts. And then they're basically saying swap out the fuel pump. So let's go ahead and do that. The seat hook. So I'm guessing that's this one right here. It said using two, but that's figure 2, and you use 2 bolts to put it onto the frame. Oh, this is the seat hook. Okay. So it's gonna go, they don't show any pictures of this. That goes up high here. You can see that. They don't give you a picture of that I can see. So I'm not using the power ratchet for that. Faux show. We'll just use a little T handle here. Okay, that's 10 millimeter, not 8. There's an 8. Again, you're better off to just tighten these enough and check them after you ride a little bit than to go cranking them. Okay, so that's installed. See what else we're doing here. Okay, so now we're moving on to fuel pump. And this is, I guess, and feels like 5. My 5 is a little loose. Chinese 5 is a little loose. But that's what it is. Ooh boy. Gonna see if I can find one that fits a little bit better. We'll be back. Okay, I got them all broke loose with the T-handle. It's just, this is sloppy in that hole. I was nervous about stripping them out, but they did all break loose with no problem. Of course, you have to reuse these. And I don't think they give any torque specs on them. One thing about these, you're not going into just the blocks, into the plastic. You're actually screwing into this aluminum ring. Okay, you got a double plate system here. So you see how that is oriented. I'm even going to take a picture of that with my phone, even though I'm taking a video of it, because there's really no notch on here to tell you where to be. So do that. Okay. Now they give you a new O-ring to put in here. So pop this bitch off. That's the stock one. Put this one on. Feed that in. Ooh, that's a tight fit. That is very tight. Okay, I'm going to consult my picture here to see where my connection was. I need to turn it a little bit. Doesn't look too bad right there. Could maybe be a little bit that way, but it's going to be tough to tighten that bolt. So let's go. Oh, now look, this is marked on that pump. Yeah. So as you can see, there's a nipple here, and we have to turn this so that we can line the holes up. So I'm hoping they took that into account and it doesn't kink the fuel line. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to take this nipple off and just kind of mount it wherever I want to mount it. So keep that in mind. Now that I have that all in there, I'm gonna have to twist it somehow. See if I can twist it in the hole without breaking it. Okay, we're almost there. I'm actually going to read the instructions here, see if there is anything. Okay, I got this in. You can see how it's oriented now as opposed to the picture I took on my phone. The fuel tube fitting was angled that way. So that's according to this nipple and lining everything up. If this doesn't work, I'm probably going to have to cut this nipple off, and that will allow the fuel pump to turn and put this fitting where it needs to be. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of snug these up and maybe slide the fuel line on and see if it has clearance or if it has a kink in the hose at all. See what we got going on here. I mean, it's not a big deal to take that nipple off, but they do not say anything about it in the instructions. I mean, you can see basically it should be okay. That is facing straight forward, but does it have clearance on the bottom of the tank? I think we're going to be okay. It's got to clear everything on the head also. The spark plug wire. I think we're going to be okay there. So I'm going to go ahead and let that there. Now, another thing I'm going to encourage you to do, which I'm going to do with this, is I'm going to pour a little bit of gas in this tank before I install it, shake it around, and then dump it out. Because I had put a Cherubies tank on my CRF 250L, put it all together, put the tank on, filled it up with gas, and here there was a film, some type of film on the inside of that tank, and it all came loose. And it just plugged up my fuel injection system. So I'm going to put some gas in this, swish it around, and then I'll kind of move on to the next steps here with getting this thing on. All right. See if we can get this bad boy clipped on. Get the wire up here first. Okay, should be on. Looks like everything clears underneath there. They tell you to install this front bolt first. So I'm going to get that pushed in there. A little tricky getting in here. I hope the way the camera was, you could see me click that fitting on. basically you saw, hopefully you saw how I removed it. I didn't check with the camera angle, but I just pushed it onto the fitting and then pushed and clipped it back in how I had it pried out. I apologize for that if you couldn't see it on the video, but what I did was, you'll see the pink clip that goes up around your tube. I just took these and pulled the pink clip away and pushed down, and it popped right out very easily. Then I left it down, pushed it back on the fitting of the fuel pump, seated it on, and pushed it back up and clipped it on. And now I'm using this bracket here that they show you a picture of. So this will take big washer, that, and these two. Okay, and these two have to be nut and bolted. This is where the nuts come in. This could be a little bit tricky. This could be real tricky. Oh man. I better take the gloves off for this. I'm not sure why I still have these on anyhow. They should have made like a little plate. I'm not even sure how you're gonna tighten these up. That is a strange setup right there. It's just very tough to get underneath here. Got them started. I'm not sure I'm going to hold underneath there to get a wrench in there somehow, I guess. See what we can do. Yeah, boy. Wow. Okay. Maybe from this way. I probably should just take this plate off, but wow, that is tough. I like for them explain to how you're supposed to do that. They should have had you do it. I should have done it before I put the tank on. Like, why would they have you do that? So keep that in mind. Put this little bracket on, I'm guessing, before the tank maybe. That's what you need to do, but it seems like it's bent a little bit the wrong way. I mean, there you can get to it. Come on. You guys can all learn from my mistakes and figure out a better way to do it. Come on. It's so awkward because there's a lip on the actual bracket. Okay, both tight, but now can we get this bolt in? It's another one of these where you don't want to force it, and this thing was at an odd angle to begin with. You can see the tank is at an angle here, but the bracket goes straight up. So you definitely have to get the bolt going in at an angle. Okay. I got it in. Just, I hope you can see. You got to make sure your bolt goes in on an angle, or I mean, you could bend that bracket back a little bit. But just keep that in mind so you guys know, either bend that back or thread that in on a little bit of an angle. It's kind of a little bit of a weird setup. Okay. 8mm. I'm not cranking that super tight either. And when you put the fuel pump in the bottom and you're doing a cross pattern on tightening those bolts, they will actually bottom out and stop turning. So you don't just need to guess on how hard you crank it. They will bottom out and stop, and you know you're sealed up. So now I got to move on to the stock shrouds, and then they're showing this little piece here that may need cut or modified here. So I'm going to do some reading and I'll check back in here. Okay, it's optional to modify your existing seat bracket if you want your seat to latch. See, they give you this latch up here, but your seat wouldn't be latched here, which mine seems pretty firm, but I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. That way it can fit around this bracket, the IMS bracket, and you can bolt it back down. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these out and do that. If I can find the cutoff wheel. Put on your safety goggles and don't cut anywhere near where you were doing work on the gas tank. Okay, there we go. Got that cut. Got it cut, cuz. File off that junk. See if it fits in. Should work. This is the one that had the big grommets on it. So I'm guessing you still need those back on, and you do it like that. Do it like this and like that and like this, Back to 10 millimeter. Okay. Furnace come back on again. Well, let's see if this goes on. Okay. Oh, that's a nice snug fit. Okay, so we're going to be down to shroudage. So I need to get this. There's a screw here and a screw on each side. We'll get this gas tank cover out of the shrouds. One screw out. Slide them back. There you go. You just got to slide this, slide the black piece forward as best you can, and it will pop off. Now, we need to look at the instructions here, and it shows remove, 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 and you even need to remove this kind of big hunk here. I'm going to use a Dremel with a little cutoff wheel to do this. You could probably even snip this with some dikes or something like that, And you got to remove this one here too. So you got to be careful so you don't cut into your, you know, existing plastic and make it look goofy, because you're going to be on here basically like this, and you're going to see this if you screw it up. So you want to try to do it pretty decent. Might be able to just cut this with dikes and then file it. Let's see. Yeah, you can just do that and then give it a that's not a very rough file. That one's a little more coarse. And just do something like that. It's a little strange to get into them, but you can use sandpaper too if you got sandpaper. Sure, I got some 80 grit here somewhere. There we go. Sand them down like that. Here, you can also take a razor blade if you don't want to sand them, trim them. You can just be a little more particular with the sandpaper. Sometimes the knife will slip on you. Got to get this one off here, which this one's under your seat. So that one's not as big a deal. Yeah, the handle's coming off. Cheap bastards. Okay, I'm gonna kind of cut up through here. This is actually very thin. You're not supposed to cut towards yourself. That may be good enough there. Should put these on a nice soft towel. Be careful you do not cut through to the front. Okay. right, that's laying nice. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt that one up in a minute. Okay, I'm using the little grommet that they give you, that IMS gives you for this top bolt. Again, just be careful not to cross thread those things. Oops, get that behind there. Okay, then I'm gonna use another one for there. That's a seat bolt. This was the lower. This was the lower one. This was higher. That one's hard to see the hole. Okay. You definitely want to start this bolt here first. It's the toughest one to see and the toughest one to get angled right to get started. So definitely do that first. Then I put this one in, it has a collar on it. Kind of lines everything up. Then that one I used their supplied collar, and I'm gonna put one on this, I guess, too. And use it here, even though this has a big washer head on it. And just make sure you tighten these in slowly and do not cross thread any of them. And then of course I have a bolt that has to go in there yet. Now you can see it actually lays very nice across there. Well, what I'm going to do before I get it completely, even though I should have test run it before I bolted everything up, but I'm going to get some gas in it and we'll give it a fire up and see if it runs. See if she fires. The fuel pump may have to run a couple times. I'm going to turn it back off and let it prime again. We're running. Okay, we'll check back in for, we'll do a ride test on it, of course, but all I have to do is get the other side panel on, basically what I just did there, other side panel, and throw the seat on, and we should be good to go. So I'll check back in with everything together and give you a look at it. Okay, well, we buttoned this thing up. Got her all on. It really was not that bad. The biggest issue is you just want to be careful to not strip any of your bolts out that are in the tank when you're installing your shrouds, because if you do that, you're screwed. So here we go. There it is on. Now a lot of guys always ask, can you see the fuel level? And yes, you can. Right there it is what I have in it right there. Give you a look from the back here, right there. And there's the side profile on the right side. Now I told you they did not give you a breather hose with it. I'm not sure why. I mean, it seems like, I know the Cherubi's tanks, they give you a breather hose, but I happen to have one around. So I just threw that on, so I'm good to go. And you can see, let me get the old tank here. I'm not gonna flip it. Oh, here, you know what I'll do? Here's the top tank plastic from the original. So that will kind of give you an idea. It is not a lot wider than the stock setup. It's probably, I'd say right in this area right here, you have an inch on each side out farther than the stock tank was right in there. And of course you have, you know, more up over your radiator here, right there. So I know that's an expensive cost for more fuel range. I believe that's a 3.3. Stock is 2.2, so you're getting just over a gallon. And I'm sure a Cherubi's always, their tanks are always significantly cheaper. And I'm sure they're going to release something probably here early 2026, if not December. So you can probably hold out and get one cheaper. You may even be able to go a bigger size. They may bring out, you know, 2 sizes. So questions, comments, put them down below. I did already run it and it runs good. It's not leaking at the moment. I will check that. I'll put more fuel in it here and we will see how that does. We'll take it for a test ride, make sure everything's okay. Like, subscribe, share, grab an oversized tank, get it on your DR-Z4s.